Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking, and today we will be looking at the Venus retrograde period. Now, you might be wondering why on earth he's talking about Venus retrograde, because it's only going to be happening on the 19th of December, starting, and then it's going to be lasting till about 29th of January. But one of the reasons why I decided to make this video early was because I'm preparing the yearly horoscopes for each sign. And there is so much to cover, and I don't want to be doing a 2-hour video for each sign. So I'm going to be breaking down the Venus retrograde. I'm going to be breaking down separately the nodal changes as well, the Mercury retrograde periods, so that you can actually get ready for the year ahead, 2022. So that's the reason why we are starting with Venus retrograde, because it's going to be happening at the end of the year. So if you like the video, make sure you press like. If you would like a solar return reading with myself or Sweti, then you can go on AstroViktor.com and book a reading, and then we can look at your yearly energies. Now, Venus retrograde. So Venus is the planet of love, beauty, art, cooperations with others, money, your personal tastes. And she tends to be a changing sign every month or so. So she spends about 4 weeks in each sign. She goes retrograde every 18 months for about 6 weeks time. And in 2021, she will be retrograde from 19th of December till about 29th of January 2022 in the sign of Capricorn. Now, the retrograde will start on 26 degrees 29 minutes of Capricorn. So you will be able to see the chart above. That might not be the exact moment of the retrograde period, but I just wanted you to be able to look at the chart so that you can see the aspects as well I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so she will be going retrograde on 26 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this is about Virgo decan, and within Virgo decan, it's actually going to be about Scorpionic territory as well. Now, the Scorpio territory comes because the first 2.5 degrees Virgo, the next 2.5 degrees is Libra, and then the next 2.5 degrees is Scorpio. So if you look at this Venus all together, we're talking about boundaries with Capricorn. We're talking about being a slave to something with Virgo, and with our everyday life matters. And of course, the Scorpio dwad is pretty much talking about intense feelings. And Venus will be going back to 11 degrees of Capricorn, and then eventually it's going to turn direct. Now, there is this conception about, on my days, a planet goes retrograde and it's really bad. So what's going to happen now? Are we going to break up, or am I going to get divorced, or what's going to happen? And, from a traditional perspective, actually, a planet which is a retrograde is believed not to be so bad. One of the reasons is because Venus, while it's retrograde, it's between the sun and the earth, meaning that the sun is not able to block out the light from earth. So on one hand, it might not be something which we have to be so worried about, but this Venus will be having 3 conjunctions to Pluto during its period, and while it's starting the retrograde motion, it will be a very tight conjunction also. So there is going to be some issues with this Venus retrograde. Now, a couple of tips and hints. Venus turns retrograde every 8 years in the same sign. So if you want to be looking back a little bit in the history, what was going on in 2013 December to 2014 January in your life, it might give you some type of clues of what to expect with this Venus retrograde cycle, because at that time it was also in the sign of Capricorn. So it activated your Capricornian area of your chart. Now, retrograde is always about revisiting things, reorganizing things. So what type of changes did you have to make during that period of time? Or what slowed down a little bit and then moved forward a little bit later on? So Venus is something which is actually trackable, and you should be experiencing similar things, but of course, the different type of aspects will give a different flavor to it. Now, also Venus, any type of retrograde planet has got a shadow period as well, commencing a few weeks before and after these dates as well. So the shadow period is that once it hits the 26 degree, it's going to go back to 11 degree. And that shadow period is while from 11 degree, it's going to get back to 26 degree as well. So Venus represents your feminine yin energies. And while she is retrograde, there could be some emotional and financial turmoil going on in your life. Venus is about how we relate to others, so it can really affect some of your relationships. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's in your marriage. It can be just relationship with your loved ones altogether. So, and when Venus goes a little bit retrograde, especially with Pluto, it's kind of like a volcano. So something might be boiling for a very long time, maybe since 2013, 14. And this time around, there is that kind of volcano eruption going on. Now, this will be affecting you mostly if you have strong placement in Libra, Taurus, or Capricorn. But I'm going to be speaking at the end of this video about each of the signs, what you should be expecting. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end. So Venus rules anything over your heart desire, the matters of the heart. So, and in the sign of Capricorn, which is actually a very emotional sign, but it tends to be not showing emotions. So it's more about building a guard for ourselves. So in this period, you might actually start building an emotional wall, or the other way around, you're going to start thinking about, you know what, this wall is way too high, so I kind of need to knock that down. Okay, Capricorn talks about your exes. So Saturn rules your ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. So it's very possible that, for instance, a ex will be coming back into your life. And it might be someone you've had a friendship with for a very long time, actually, because the dispositor of Venus is in the sign of Aquarius, which represents your friends. And then all of a sudden you discover this feeling towards your best friend that, you know what, we've been buddies for a very long time. Why don't we try something more serious? Now, make sure that you pay attention a little bit, though, because typically a Venus retrograde being in a relationship, it might end very quickly as well. And in the sign of Capricorn, it very much talks about creating some type of boundaries in the relationship. So it's not about a rushing, it's not about a race. We're going to slowly build on something, and then we see where it's going to be taking us. But also Capricorn is something to do with the power as well, especially when Venus is aligned with Pluto. So it could bring up some type of power struggles in relationships, or even in your career as well, because Capricorn overall rules the hardworking part of our chart. So one of the lessons with this Venus retrograde is to learn to set boundaries, both in your personal and your professional life as well. It might be telling you to step aside a little bit, examine the situations, and make sure that you actually do some type of self-care as well. Because what Capricorn does is it tends to be working 24/7. Capricorn is very much about achieving a goal and manifesting something. So taking a break might be something actually Capricorn Venus tells you now, especially because Venus is actually squaring Hygeia as well, which is about prevention, which is about medical matters. So I don't wish to scare anyone, but it's very possible that if you don't take a little bit of a break during especially the holiday seasons, because, oh, I have to make money, the shops were closed for a year due to COVID issues, and this time around, it's the best time to actually make some type of money. Yes, that's true, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking at our personal well-being as well. So Venus might be actually bringing the attention to that part for you too. Now, if you feel, for instance, very drained in your relationship, then it might be actually telling you to step down for a second and then recharge your batteries. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have to break up or we're going to have to get divorced. But maybe you want to gather some of your friends. Remember, the dispositor of Venus is Saturn in Aquarius. So getting around with friends and then taking a couple of days off, recharging the batteries, and then I can go back to that relationship, and then we can actually fix whatever issues we might be having, which might relate to some type of power struggles, jealousy, and overall trust issues. Now, some astrologers also believe that during a Venus retrograde, we should not necessarily get married, or we shouldn't be getting engaged either, because that relationship is going to be doomed. Yeah, there is some type of truth to it, but what you can do is, it doesn't mean that you should be canceling all your wedding plans, but maybe you want to do you want to renew your vows, maybe a year later. And then kind of like you overwritten some of those marital energies during the Venus retrograde period. Or it might be actually a reminder for you, because Capricorn is someone who is wise. So it's very possible that you can go to a counselor way ahead of time and then speak about possible issues, what you might be having. Now, Venus also talks about the dating life, and Capricorn is a little bit old-fashioned. So actually, you might start thinking about, especially if you are single, no, you know what? I don't want to be having sex on the first, second date. I want to be having sex on the 10th date. So a little bit of an old-fashioned courtship type of things. I want the guy to bring me a bunch of flowers, or I want the guy to open the door for me, and all those type of things. So it's a little bit of a traditional romantic behavior, but also Capricorn is one of the family signs as well. So it's very possible that old traditional family values somehow popping up in the picture for you. So, my mom used to tell me that this is what a guy should be doing, and so forth. Now, Venus retrograde in Capricorn could be bringing emotional and physical transformation as well with Pluto. Because remember, Venus is your personal style, Pluto is the planet of transformation. So in the sign of Capricorn, you might realize, what, I've been wearing black and gray color all the time. So I need to zhuzh up a little bit my wardrobe. Libra rules the wardrobe, right? So, but it does tell you that your personal taste might need to be re-examined a little bit, or at least change as well. Maybe it is talking about, Capricorn is also about solidifying something, because it's an earth sign. So, but Pluto says it's kind of like not a dress rehearsal anymore, right? So it is a very serious topic. So it is talking about making some type of practical changes in your life so that it can actually work later on in a very appropriate way. So it does talk about being ready to take a deep dive, or actually looking at whether my relationship has got that meaningfulness, which kind of like there is a crave for. Venus is the planet of peace and war, the planet of peace and harmony. So actually it could be a time when there is a little bit of a war going on around me, and it's time to try to come up with ways how to create that harmony. So this Pluto-Venus conjunction could talk about forgiveness, okay, but also not allowing others to manipulate me, and recognizing my own strength as well. It might be something which you have been holding back for a while, That was related to unfairness. And now that Pluto actually might tells you to kind of break down your self-esteem issues. Venus is the self-esteem, Capricorn is the wall, and Pluto is breaking something down. So breaking down the self-esteem issues and actually standing up for yourself, because Capricorn is a cardinal energy. It's very motivated. It's very powerful in a sense. So it might be reminding to look at where you lost your power. And it might have been 2013-14 when you lost the power, and then you're going to have to kind of learn ways to get that back for you. Now, of course, Venus also talks about financial situations. So it could bring up and down situations in your financials or in your living conditions, or even something to do with your physical body as well. So maybe it's the fact that, you know what, I don't want to be having shared financial situations in my relationships. Right? I want to be building the relationship on equality and not necessarily dependency. So some of you might start thinking, you know what, I want to take on a Christmas temp job, or I want to go back to work because I want to make a little bit of a pocket money. I don't want to be asking my husband, can you give me money for a haircut, and all those type of things. So kind of like that Pluto is actually encouraging you to become a little bit more mature about your financial situations. And that maturity is actually coming from the sign of Capricorn, because that's the sign of wisdom. So it does talk about altogether an emotional growth as well. And eventually that could lead to some type of positive physical consequences as well at the same time. Now, sometimes these changes come through pain. So we do need to know that, right? So, because whatever Pluto touches, it kind of destroys first, and then it learns to empower you to make those necessary changes. So it could be a very challenging time at the beginning, but in the long run, it might be something which you come out very nicely though. Also, Venus is about your personal taste, decorating things. So especially if it happens around your 4th house or the 10th house, it's very possible that you are thinking about relocating, because I kind of, want to be in a warmer place. Venus does enjoy a little bit of a sunny places and so forth. Or it could be talking about dealing with real estate matters as well. Because at the end of the day, Venus rules something to do with money, purchases as well. But Capricorn is a business sign, right? So altogether on the mundane level, this could show that the real estate prices will start dropping. And I'm expecting that anyway, with the nodal changes as well from next year onwards. So slight decreases I'm expecting to see, okay? Now, maybe if you have got an existing relationship, then it might be talking about deepening your relationship, actually. Pluto is very deep. A retrograde Venus is also turning inwards. So it's very possible that you're going to start talking about things like, do we want to be having a baby? Do we want to move together? Do we want to renew our vows, right? Especially the baby topic is if Venus rules your 8th house, 4th house, or the 5th house, that's very possible. Or even if Venus natally is in one of those houses. And also if the solar return sun has got an aspect to Venus, maybe from the 5th, 8th, or the 4th house, then kind of it's a brilliant recipe for wanting to have a baby. Now, I think during Venus retrograde, it's very important that you start sharing your feelings. Maybe it's a reminder that you haven't dealt with your feelings altogether. Maybe you have tried to kind of sweep it under the carpet. Maybe actually took all these type of negative feelings might have taken an impact on your physical body as well. So you might actually feel that your body is a little bit restless overall. You might feel that, you know what, I need to actually do a detoxification around this time, because it's kind of like a built up stress within us. And of course, eventually it can make us ill as well. And you do need to remember that. Now, Pluto is the planet of healing. So that's why we do need to mention that. And also remember, I mentioned at the beginning, Venus is squaring high G as well, which is about prevention. So preventing medical matters, this Venus can talk about. Okay, Pluto, which talks about some type of poison and food poisoning, for instance. So during this retrograde period, we do need to be checking, for instance, our cupboards. Venus rules over food. So looking at the cupboards, okay, what's good, what's not good? Shall I just chuck it out or not? Okay, so also, Capricorn is the sign of structure. So it might be actually telling you to structure some Venusian topics in your life. Maybe it's just going to your wardrobe and then looking at, okay, what do I need? What do I not need? And then I can actually, we can actually try out some type of new routines as well. Now, yes, as I mentioned, old lovers can be coming back from the past also. But my advice would be here to remember why they are an ex for us, right? So there is this saying in Hungarian, there is no point in warming up the cabbage soup. Or yeah, something like that, meaning that, you know, they became an ex for a reason. Of course, everyone can change to a certain extent, but the core somehow stays similar, I would say. So you only should be getting back together with someone if you can actually respect the indifferences between the two of you. And remember, Pluto connecting to Venus really intensifies our feelings, sometimes maybe our judgment, because Venus is the planet of decision making, becomes based on emotions rather than reality. And Capricorn is the sign of reality. So it tells you that you need to stay real to who you are. You need to stay real when it comes to decision making. You're going to have to look at the facts and the data before actually you make any type of decisions. Venus rules things over jewelries and beauty products. So it does tell you that maybe this is not the time when you should be having a new haircut, for instance, because you might regret it later on. And maybe you decide that, you know what, I want to be having red highlights in my head. In my hair, and then eventually there is going to be some type of regrets around it. Pluto is the planet of investments. So, and during retrograde period, something which might not be lasting too long. So it's very possible actually that you have got this haircut, and then eventually, you know what, 2 weeks later, all those highlights and the dye is just disappearing. Okay. Now, Capricorn, as I mentioned, is a business sign, so it's very possible that you're going to have to look at your business structure, business strategies, and also something to do with your business partnership as well, because Venus can represent partners in your chart. So maybe you are thinking about renewing some type of contract, or it might be about how much money I pay for my employees, especially if Venus rules your 6th house. Now, let's just have a look at these aspects a little bit in more depth. So, you know, Venus and Pluto together, as I mentioned, it's going to be meeting 3 times. So it also could be talking about, you know, and on one hand, it would not be important typically because it's usually just a day transit. But this time around, it's going to be actually within orb for 2 weeks. And as I mentioned, they're going to be meeting 3 times as well. So it could actually bring, especially if you are single, that, you know what, why am I single? What is wrong with me? So there is this deep increased desire to be loved or to love someone. We can actually fall in love with someone, and then we become somehow a stalker because we want to be having this very deep companionship with anyone, really. So it can lead to problems if you are single, especially because it becomes kind of an unhealthy attachment to someone, or an unhealthy attachment to one of your belief system, that the reason why I don't have anyone because I'm ugly, right? Venus in Capricorn can actually have self-esteem issues. Now, actually, it's very possible, because Saturn is in Aquarius, that some of your friendship will be tested this time around. Maybe some of the true color of some of your friends will be actually popping out also. Pluto and Venus together is actually the magnetic attraction. Now, it's very easy to attract someone who is not necessarily suitable as a partner for your life. So just be mindful about that. You can attract stalkers. You can attract people who want to manipulate us, or people who are actually very weak, and then they kind of looking for a woman who is going to be cleaning for them and cooking for them, and all those type of behaviors. So being aware of some of the behaviors of yours and others, which might relate to possessions and jealousy, is very, very intense this time around. Also, with Pluto, Venus, we can attract easily criminals and people who are heavy drug users or alcoholics, but they are very charming at the beginning. Okay, so you might want to be aware of that too. Now, some of the aspects Venus will be making. So on the January 5th, it's going to be having a trine to Neptune. So this is exactly the time when it's very easy to fall in love, and then having your clouded judgment around stuff. But it could also bring some type of heartbreak, especially from the past. Maybe some of the old memories are coming back. Now, this aspect especially will be very intense for Taurus, Cancer, Capricorn, Aquarian people. And probably it's quite beneficial, though, overall, for Virgo, Scorpio, and Pisces. So the water signs, it could be quite beneficial, actually. But as I mentioned at the end, I'm going to be breaking down each of you separately, so you can have a little bit of a clue what area of life it will be triggering for yourself. Okay, so I think this Venus retrograde is also telling you to examine your connections with yourself. Probably this is the most important message here. It's not always about thinking about others, but also thinking about yourself as well. So it might be a time when actually you can finalize separations or commitments, actually looking at the values in the relationship altogether. Also, watch out, because with Pluto, you can be spending plenty of money, and then down the road, you know, you might be actually regretting things. With Pluto, I want to be that expensive jewelry, especially around Christmas times, right? Or I want to have this skincare treatment, and you know, you might be very obsessive, or you might want to be experimenting with new styles, shapes, and colors, and stuff like that. But this Capricorn says, be a little bit moderate, save a little bit of money. All that glitters isn't necessarily gold. Overall, that's what Capricorn would be telling you. And of course, because it's during Christmas period, we tend to be spending money that like there is no tomorrow. Now, Venus from a medical perspective. So Venus actually rules over sugar and sweetness in all types of form. So therefore, it could be an indication of blood sugar. So Venus retrograde might be telling you to look at a little bit of your blood sugar level. So glucose, it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, you know, because actually it's very important for the brain, but everything in moderation, Capricorn says, okay? Or how much fizzy drinks I'm drinking during this period of time. Or even with Pluto, how much alcohol I have, right? So that might be something to watch out for. And also Venus rules over starchy food as well overall. We might actually want to be eating a little bit more, not just because of the holiday seasons, but because kind of like I want to pump up my mood a little bit. So it's worth having a look at, once you are eating junk food, for instance, how are you feeling about it? Also, speaking about the weight loss matters, because at the end of the day, Venus rules your aesthetics, right? And Venus actually can relate to your thyroid glands. So the thyroid responds to the blood sugar situation, if I'm not mistaken. So actually it could bring that your thyroid glands can actually get swollen, or certain type of food allergy could be coming out this time around, because Venus in Capricorn is typically about skincare. So that's very possible, okay? Maybe it talks about Capricorn, a little bit of a low calorie diet type of things, which might be actually very, very beneficial for Venus. Or Capricorn is typically about quality over quantity. So it might be telling you, you know what, you can eat as much calories as you want, just make sure they are actually good calories as well. And also on a mundane level, this could really talk about that there is going to be something around skin problems, which might be actually popping up a little bit more. Or there is going to be some revolutionary technology coming in to do something around the wrinkles and the freckles on our faces and all those type of things. That's also very possible. Okay, so let's see each of you very shortly. So let's start with Aries. So Aries, your Venus retrograde will be focusing on your career goals a little bit. So, you know, Aries, you are always very motivated. You want to be becoming the number one. But this is actually telling you this time around that you're going to have to find time for yourself as well. A little bit of a self-care, because you can easily burn out. You might not be seeing all those type of things what you have wanted to achieve, and especially coming to the end of the year when we kind of make those New Year's Eve resolutions. We do this yearly summary in our life, and you know, I didn't achieve that, so we can actually destroy our self-worth a little bit. So that's one of the factors which you need to be taken into account. But also it might be telling you to slow down a little bit and then re-examine your business strategy a little bit. It might be also telling you that, you know, the money from the business is not going to be as good as you have expected. So, but be mindful about it. You can do actually a little bit of a sales at the beginning of January, February time, and then the money might start rolling in again. Now, Taurus, Venus will be activating the spirituality department in your chart. So it might be about wanting to build spiritual connections with others, and then actually this time around you can do them quite quickly as well. Or it could also talk about that you might want to be actually studying something, you might want to be actually traveling somewhere, or you might want to be just charging up your batteries a little bit in a foreign settings. So that's also very possible. If you are single, actually a soulmate can appear in your life, but that person would be actually trying to teach you a lesson on a deeper level as well. Okay, so probably it's wise to kind of keep the reins a little bit tight, and then fully committing to this relationship once Venus retrograde is coming to an end. Also, it's very possible that, for instance, your father needs to be checking out their kidney functions. That's a possibility. But also on a very deeper level, it might be just exploring your belief system, your approach to life. It might be actually asking you to take some type of pleasure and try to integrate your factual and your spiritual knowledge and make it as a conception, but making sure that that conception is not misguiding you. It actually pushes you forward. Now, if we look at Gemini rising sign, then it's going to be affecting your mood the most. So it might be telling you that you're going to have to share your feelings with others, someone who is actually special to you. You might have got this very deep desire to have these deep conversations with others, or you might want to be having just a deeper intimacy. So the sexual department could be something which gets emphasized in your chart. No, because Venus rules over things like money, and the Venus retrograde will be happening in conjunction to Pluto and also in your 8th house. So it's very important that you look at things like, did I pay actually the tax? Am I actually good with financials? And so forth, because that could cause a little bit of a problem there. Also, I feel like the biggest message for you is to kind of have those heartfelt conversations with your partner and kind of trying to reveal something new about yourself to someone else. Maybe it's an old trauma, which you, this time around, you are reminded to work on a little bit more. Maybe it's something which is coming from 2013-14 time. Now, if you have got a Cancer rising sign, then this retrograde period will be all about love, right? So Venus will be activating your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. So the matter of heart will be a focal point in your chart, and that needs to be kind of a review as well. So did I get hurt somehow in the past, or actually does an ex, a boyfriend or girlfriend want to pop back into my life? Am I 100% sure that my judgment is not clouded around this? Because we might be, it's all about working through a trauma, because Pluto is conjuncting Venus in your chart. Or in what ways did I get hurt in previous relationships? Pluto is telling you to find the root cause. And for Cancer rising sign, which is the initiation of everything really, because that's where we are planting seeds. So it might be very important that you look back your family relationships as well, and then what type of patterns I find there to work on so that my relationship can take actually the next stage. So grief and toxicity originated from the past can really affect your relationship topic this time around. Now, Leo, if you we look at your Venus retrograde period, then it's going to be happening in your 6th house. Now, Leo, typically you always want to be shining, or actually you should be coded to be shining in one way or another. And it doesn't mean that we're going to have to be an actor and, you know, we're going to have to take a central stage, but maybe in your professional field, you're going to need to shine at one point. Now, this Venus retrograde actually can emphasize for you, what are the reasons why I cannot shine? Is it because I'm scared? Is it because I'm shy a little bit? Or is it because I have to do some redirections in my career in one way or another? Okay. But this could also talk about the everyday activities I do with my loved ones. So do I spend too much time with the co-workers? And for instance, I'm not getting my partner involved. So it is very much telling you to analyze the give and take part of the relationship a little bit, okay? who is getting maybe frustrated with the daily chores. How can I help my partner to actually ease up their duties a little bit? But also it is the health sector as well. So typically you might want to be watching out for things like kidney related matters in your chart, and also something to do with your diets as well. So it actually could be a good period of time to start a new work habit or health habit, which you might have been thinking about for a very long time. If this is a new idea, then plan it out and then start towards 1st of February. Now, if you have been working way too much this time around, this Venus is actually telling you to pull back a little bit and make sure you relax it and spend some quality time with your loved ones. Virgo, if you have got Venus retrograde with this Pluto conjunction, then it's going to be affecting typically what makes you happy. So you're going to have to re-examine the source of happiness in your life. What area is something where I would be able to imagine to put my heart into? And it might not be that easy for you because Virgo finds plenty of happiness in their work, in service to others. But actually, which I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, when when Venus goes retrograde, it's going to be having a trine to Moon in Virgo. So you will be affected, and it's telling you that it's okay to say no to certain type of things, like events and gatherings and overtime, which you might be asked to do. Of course, Virgo represents the service industry, and then people tend to be working extremely lot during Christmas periods because there are plenty of people going out there to shop. But it tells you to look at your source of happiness as well at the end of the day, and only participate in things which you really are in the mood for. Also, this could be a period of time when you start talking about having kids, or we want to be taking the relationship to the next level. So actually, this topic might be something which is actually popping back into the picture from previous month as well. Now, Libra rising sign, basically, you might need to be enjoying spending so much time at home. So one of the issues it might bring up is that, let's say your partner, you know what, I want to be spending Christmas this time around with my own family and not with yours. But actually somehow your heart desire is to spend time together with your own family. And this could lead to slightly bit of a power struggle. So how are we going to balance it out? Libra is all about balance. And Venus is the planet of discussions. And in the sign of Capricorn, it says that kind of it needs to be diplomatic overall. So, but if you are planning to purchase a home, for instance, you might need to be a little bit cautious about this time around. It might tell you that, listen, the prices will be dropping very shortly. So why I'm not holding on to my money a little bit longer so I can save maybe in February time. It's also very possible that we enter this kind of hermit zone during Christmas periods, because especially with that Pluto-Venus conjunction, some of your old traumatic Christmas experiences coming up. And you know what? I don't want to be spending Christmas with anyone. I just want to be alone, right? Fourth house is somehow our comfort zone. That's kind of like our living room area overall. So I just want to be having popcorn, a little bit of a Bridget Jones come to my mind in one of her films where you know, she was just drinking alcohol and binge eating cakes and stuff like that, and then goes to the fridge and then opens the fridge and there is nothing in the fridge, type of things. So that's very possible. But also this planetary combination can tell you to use your time to spend a little bit more time at home. We don't need to be in the spotlight. We don't need to be you know, maybe we don't need to be eating so much junk food and stuff like that. Actually, I can walk up to the garden, to my own land, and then pick up certain bits and bobs. Okay, so it might be telling you to kind of create a little sanctuary in your home environment, a little bit of an altar. Now, Scorpio, your Venus-Pluto conjunction, Venus retrograde Pluto conjunction, will be falling into your third house. Now, this is typically the house of communication, and with that Pluto, we might be very retrograde. We might, Jesus, I don't know what's going on with me. We might be very flirty this time around. We might be, you know, like teasing, for instance, an ex partner. But we might want to be talking about things like what makes me feel sexy this time around. So I want to be discussing things about my self-worth. And it's actually good to write it out or good to talk about it. Don't shy away from your intense feelings within yourself. It might be actually telling you to re-examine your conversation styles, because with Pluto, it can be sometimes a little bit intense. But with Venus, we can be actually very charming as well. So how I am going to be balancing that out. Now, if you are single, this could be a good period of time to sign up for a dating website, third house rules dating websites. And then you might want to start chatting with someone. You might want to start building a kind of a solid connection. And then after the Venus retrograde, we can actually go and then start dating. But I know, Scorpio, you are not necessarily into so much small talks. So, but it is telling you to kind of get to know someone a little bit slowly this time around, so that a relationship, if it forms, then it can be a long-lasting one. And that's the Capricornian energy. Sagittarius, now Venus will be in your financial segment this time around. So for you, definitely, you are a very generous sign. You are very giving and caring in a sense. So it might be telling you it's not time to invite everyone in the pub for a drink, or you don't need to buy everyone a present. Second house, right? You don't need to be aiming to please everyone. Just be a little bit more minimalist. Sometimes quality works better than quantity. But also it tells you to watch out how much money you spend. Look at a little bit your financial saving account a little bit more, or actually don't run away from financial obligations. Don't postpone paying a bill and stuff like that, because it might be something which is causing you problem a month later, okay? Definitely putting some cash into the bank is a huge reminder for you. And you might be having this huge temptation. You know what? I need a new pair of jeans. I need new shoes. I don't have anything to wear, right? Because Sagittarius rising is very idealistic. You might have got this idea, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go to the bank and then I'm going to have a credit card. I'm going to be able to manage that. Well, this could lead to resentment later on. Capricorn, this is going to be happening in your first house. So it's everything to do with your personal taste, with your personal style overall. It definitely tells you that it's time to put yourself first. So it might be about examining the way I look like, how I can look sexier. Because let's be honest, Capricorn, you are a sexy sign, but there is definitely something you can work on. Maybe your wardrobe needs a good reality check, okay? Or on an emotional level, why did I put up those high walls, right? And then how can I knock them down? This could be a huge question for yourself. Why am I not able to make more money? Why am I not being able to love or give love or get love from someone? Because this is the first and the seventh house axis. It's also very possible that you want to be isolating yourself from people because you have got these very strong, intense feelings going on. So it tells you that you're going to have a refreshed outlook on life. So changing your perspectives over certain things. Knocking down the wall is your biggest one. It might be about some type of business projects which you need to be revisiting. So shall I invest money into something? Shall I not invest into certain things? So that also might be a topic for you. Aquarius rising. So this will be happening in your 12th house, which is the area of subconscious. This is the area of dreaming. So this might be telling you that you need to revisit some of your old dreams. And Pluto actually can give you enough desire to initiate eventually these new dreams. But it also tells you that on a subconscious level, you're going to have a deeper look at your partnerships. Does the partnership cause me some type of mental disturbance overall, or does it make me emotional? It might be about going down on a memory lane and remembering the positive things in your relationship. Because this is the 6 from the 7. So it could talk about the unhealthy detachment and attachment in the relationship. So how can I build some type of healthier habits in my relationship? That might be also coming up. This is something to do with shadow work. So do I need to do some type of shadow work in the relationship department for myself? And last but not least, Pisces rising sign, which is myself. So the Venus retrograde will be happening in our 11th house, which is the house of long-term goals, friendships. Now, if we are single, we can actually look at the relationship potentials in our inner circles, right? So we might be having kind of a friend, not necessarily a close friend, but an acquaintance we can actually end up together with, or you might be thriving for some type of friends with benefits type of relationship, because this is the 5th and 11th house axis. So the sex circle, basically, we can call it that way. What with Pluto, it could be talking about a platonic relationships with someone someone who is important to you. And we can have this obsessive nature. I always want to be around that person. If you are in a relationship, actually, this is a good time to socialize with friends. So it might be that we're going to be planning some group activities together. I don't know, we're going to go to theme parks, or, you know, we're going to go do a bike tour or something like that, so that everyone can get to know a little bit better. Everyone can get to know each other a little bit better. But also this is something to do with your long-term goals. So it might be a time to revisit the ways how you want to be achieving certain things in your life. 11th house is typically about spotting patterns. So it definitely, this retrograde is telling you, go back in previous cycles. Go back in every single, let's say the last 7 years, when Venus was in the sign of Capricorn. What was going on in your life? It is telling you that this time around, you should be spotting patterns. This can be around your investments, because 11th house is a financial house. That's your salary. So you might want to be looking at, okay, did I get enough pay rise, you know, in the last 7 years or not? And those type of things can be examined. But this might be also be telling you to examine your strategy when it comes to pricing something. Do I charge enough money? Do I not charge? So this is basically our 12 signs. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention just one more thing, right? So as an overall interpretation, Venus will be making some important connections. So Venus, Pluto, and Australia will be actually in conjunction. So with Australia, it can be a very powerful time to break some type of karmic ties. I made a video about Australia, so I recommend checking that out. Venus square Hygeia, I talked about that, which could talk about beauty treatment, physical care, kidney issues, skin infections. We do need to be mindful about that. But Hygeia is about prevention. So how I am going to prevent to get sick and how to prevent my self-esteem to hit the rock bottom. So it's about balancing the physical, the mental health within us, surely. And of course, this Venus is going to be triggering Aries Pluto square also, but I made a video about the Pluto and Aries square, so I recommend checking that out. So this is my Venus retrograde video for you. I hope you liked it, and please press like and subscribe to the channel. And watch out for your 2022 videos. But before I will post those, I will be actually making a video about the nodal changes as well. So see you very shortly. Thank you. Bye-bye.